Hi, I'm Sophie. This is the Studio SE6. Welcome. Thank you so much for choosing to practice with me today. This session will be a little over an hour long, so try and set yourself aside the time to complete the entire practice. We'll begin with a settling in, connecting to the breath before moving on to a warm-up, and then progressing to the main part of the practice, which will be lots of lunging and twisting, so quite core and leg heavy. And we'll move on to a very well-deserved relaxation at the end. So modify where you need to. If you're feeling tired today, just make sure you take it down a step. If you're feeling more energetic, then go for it. So I hope you enjoy. Please leave any positive comments in the box below, and let's get started. So we'll start our practice today in constructive rest pose, coming down to the floor, taking your feet as wide as your mat and away from your bottom. Roll your knees in towards one another here for support, or place a cushion between them if that's more comfortable. Just walk your shoulders down away from your ears. Just maybe wiggle the hips from side to side, making sure you're not holding or gripping in the hips. And we'll take our arms away from the body with the palms upturned, and allowing the shoulders and the upper back just to melt into the mat. Allow the weight of the arms to fall away. Opening up across the chest, broadening the collarbones and lifting the heart. The forehead and the chin are in line. So if you find that your chin juts towards the ceiling, then just place in a cushion behind the head to elevate it slightly. So let's take this moment here just to settle down onto our mats, into our space, and just set the foundation for the rest of our practice. So we'll begin by taking a quick scan of the body from the feet up to the head, and just making a mental note of any particular parts that are holding physical stress, any tension. And we can revisit these at the end of our practice, just to notice any subtle changes in your physical being. Notice how you're feeling mentally. If the mind is quite busy and distracted. And again, we'll come back to this at the end of the practice, just to notice if we've managed to create a little more mental space and clarity. Now turn your attention to your breath, noticing if you're breathing through the mouth, through the nose, noticing the rhythm of your breath. And the quality of your breath. And now gradually we'll transition to our yogic belly breathing. So if it's comfortable for you, closing the mouth, parting the teeth, and floating the tongue to rest on the top palate of the mouth, and then the throat and the jaw and the neck can soften and relax. And let's begin to breathe in and out through the nose. And as you breathe in, guide your breath down to your belly and feel the belly softly and naturally expand. And as you exhale, the belly releases back towards the spine. Taking a few easy breaths here, finding a comfortable pace for you. And with each exhale, just beginning to let go of anything you're holding on to. Visualizing any physical tension just melting into the mat. Letting go of any thoughts. And just focusing solely on your inhale and your exhale, staying very much in the present moment. And throughout your practice today, staying connected with your breath. So if the mind begins to wander off, just drawing your attention back to your mat, to your inhale and your exhale. And let's take 3 cleansing breaths here. So we're inhale through the nose and take a long sigh through the mouth, making a sound. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling long sigh through the mouth. And last one here. I'm beginning to open the eyes, and let's just walk the feet in towards one another and bring the knees in towards the chest. So holding on top of the shins or behind the thighs, let's just roll around the sacrum here one way, just massaging into the lower back. And the other way. Coming back to the center, let's keep our big toes connected. We're going to open up the knees and start to draw circles. So we're moving the thighs in the hip sockets here. So when the knees come away from us, we want to make sure that we don't rock the lower back off the mat. So we're not tipping the pelvis forwards. The lower back is softly imprinted the whole time into the mat, and the pelvis is anchored down. I'm just starting to mobilize in the hips. Gentle drawing of the navel back towards the spine, and then let's go the other way. Press the knees away, out and round. Trying to keep the rest of the body as still as you can. And making those circles as big or as small as you like. On the next one round, just bring the knees in towards the armpits, either side of your rib cage, and let's start to just roll around the ankles. Big, full range of motion, one way and the other. And bringing the knees back into the chest. Place your feet on the floor, slide the legs away. Take a big inhale, reach the arms up overhead. With the exhale, flex the feet, and we want to push the palms to the front of the room. So pull your fingers back and then release the hands down by your side. Inhale here, reach up and over. Exhale, pull the fingers back and push the palms forwards, flex the feet. Inhale, reaching up and over. And last one, exhale, flex. Inhale, up and over here. Now bring your right knee in towards your belly, holding on top of the shin or behind the thigh if that's more comfortable. With your inhale, we're going to release the thigh away from the body slightly so you have space here in the hip crease. And then exhale, draw the knee back in. Inhale, release. And exhale, hug back in. And last one here, inhale, exhale, hug back in. Staying here, we'll take a roll up. So we'll tuck the chin, lift the head, curl the shoulder blades off the mat, draw navel to spine, and look towards that knee. Take an inhale, slowly stick your spine back down, back of the head to the mat. Take a full body stretch. Inhale, reach, point fingers and toes. Exhale, bring your left knee into your chest. And again, let's inhale, release the knee away. And exhale, draw the thigh back in. Inhale to release. Allow the belly to expand. And then exhale, squeeze back in. Last one here. And exhale, stay here. Again, let's curl up here. Look towards the knee, tuck the chin slightly. And start to roll down with your inhale. Swoop the arms all the way round to your side, bring both knees in towards the chest, give them one last hug in, and then let's place both feet on the floor. Open out the arms, palms up or palms down, up to you. Make sure your shoulders are away from the ears, and then when you're ready, just extending up your right foot, pressing through the right heel. So we're going to keep our pelvis anchored down here. The lower back stays on the mat. I'm going to start to wake up the backs of those legs. So let's point the foot away, finding space here across the front of that right hip. Squeeze the knee back in towards the chest, flex the foot, and exhale, press as much as you can up towards the ceiling. So the leg doesn't have to go straight, just the action of trying to straighten that leg is enough here. Point away, draw back in, exhale, squeeze without lifting the pelvis off the floor. Inhale, release, exhale, draw back in. Last one, point away, nice and long with the leg, and then exhale, knee to chest or knee to belly, and extend. Let's hold the back of the thigh, calf or ankle, keeping that pelvis anchored down, toes lightly pulling towards the face and heel pressing towards the ceiling. Relax the shoulders. Bend the knee in towards the chest, place the foot on the floor. Let's go with the other side, lifting that leg as straight as you can. Again, navel in towards the spine. Point the foot and reach away with an inhale. With an exhale, cycle the leg back in, flex and press through the left heel. So we'll do this a few more times here, just working with the breath. And last two, I think, because I've lost count, I think we did about 8 on the other side. Last one, hold on to the back of the thigh, the calf or the ankle. Again, pulling those toes to the face, pressing up through the heel. And bend the knee in towards the chest, place the foot on the floor. So your feet now are hip distance apart, so about a fist distance apart, the same as the thighs and the knees. Shoulders towards the waist, hands down by your side. Gentle press into the feet and into the hands. Take an inhale. With the exhale, we're just going to tip the pelvis back. So we want to tuck the tailbone under, squeeze the bottom here, extend out through the front of that hip and bring your knees over your ankles. So it's not a very big movement. We're not pressing up into our lower back at all. We want to try and keep length in the lower back by tucking under, engaging the glutes and the backs of the thighs. Let's take an inhale at the top and an exhale, roll yourself back down. Inhaling here. Exhaling, tip the pelvis back, draw the navel towards the spine, keep that feeling of tucking under so we don't lose the openness in the front of the hip, and then with an exhale, roll back down. Last one, inhaling here, exhaling, roll back up, tucking under, pressing through the feet and lightly through the hands, and then slowly rolling all the way back down to the mat. Let's hug the knees into the chest here. And then taking the hands underneath the backs of the knees. We can start to either roll backwards and forwards here. So we keep a nice curved shape with the spine, just making sure we're not rolling onto the neck at all. So the chin stays tucked, rolling up and down. Maybe tap the toes as you come up and roll back down. So the knees are going to stay bent. Otherwise, you can just sit to the side and come up this way. So we're going to start with our big toes balancing on the mat. We'll come to a seated position here. Lifting the chest up nice and tall. Just hold behind the backs of the knees. So we want to keep that lift in the chest, the shoulder blades sliding back down towards the waist. And let's just lift the right leg. So we want 90-degree angle there with the right leg. And then lower down, just tap the toe. Go with the other side. Left side. And one more time each side. Now lifting the right leg, lifting the left leg, Squeeze the legs together, and let's see here if we can remain nice and lifted without collapsing into the lower spine or the chest, and maybe release the arms, keeping both legs squeezing together, 90 degrees here if you can. Keep the collarbones broad and wide. 2 more breaths here. Squeeze those knees, squeeze those ankles together. And then we're released. So either crossing over your ankles and your shins to roll up to all fours, or just swishing your weight to the side, come up to all fours this way. So starting in our tabletop position here, let's sit back to tuck toes. So keeping the chest high, and sit as far back towards your heels as you can. Inhaling, we're going to take the weight forwards and just past the wrist line with the shoulders if you can. So we all have a different range of motion, so we're just working to what's comfortable for you. So I want you to spread your fingers really wide here. So you can see as much space as you can between each finger. Just starting to warm up the wrists, ready for our planks and our downward facing dogs. And last one, hold here in the tabletop position, wrists stacked under shoulders, knees under hips. And we'll start to just roll around the hands, keeping that spine nice and long so we're not collapsing between the shoulders or into the lower back. And then let's go the other way, just reverse your circle. And coming back to the center, just tucking your hand under, so any hand, so the fingers point back towards you. We're stretching the front of the forearm and the wrist. A feeling of lifting away from the floor and then maybe leaning back a little, keeping the chest lifted. And let's come back to center, and we'll go with the other side. And coming back into the center. So from here, let's walk back to our feet. So we'll keep the toes tucked if you can. If it's too uncomfortable to stack and sit down on your heels, then maybe just lift up to high knees instead. Take hold of one wrist, quite firmly relax the shoulders, and just roll around one hand here. And the other way. Again, full range of motion. And we'll go with the other side. And the other way. Let's make our way back onto all fours. So that tabletop position again, where you're stacking your wrists and your shoulders, spreading your fingers really wide. Grip with the fingertips slightly here, and just start to pad out the feet. So just bring some blood back to those toes. And tuck in the toes under. Staying in this tabletop position, draw a feeling of drawing the sternum between the shoulder blades. So at no point are we sagging the chest down towards the floor. So we keep a nice broad open back, straight arms. Let's lift the knees an inch from the mat. So we're in tabletop position, just hovering the knees. Take an inhale here. Keep your hips low, keep the knees low to the floor. They're still hovering as you sit back towards your heels as much as you can. The arms are going to remain completely straight. And then with an inhale, push through the balls of the feet to propel yourself forwards. Exhale, chest is high, sit back. Inhale, keep those hips low, slide forwards. Exhale, rock it back. So if you become tired, you can lower the knees to the floor and do exactly the same thing without lifting them. Last two, we're working into those thighs at the front. And last one here. This time, let's sit back to the heels. And then with an exhale, press away from your hands. Keep your knees deeply bent. And we're coming to a very bent leg, downward facing dog. So we want nice length and extension in the spine. Your gaze is towards your big toes. And again, a feeling of a broad upper back. So let's move between those postures as smoothly as we can. So we inhale, come forward, hovering tabletop or tap the knees down. Exhale, push away from the hands, sit back to your heels, and then lift the hips and start to sink the heels towards the mat, wherever that may be for you. They don't have to touch. So we want to make sure it's more about length in the spine than compromising that to try and get the legs long. So we want to keep nice extension here. Last two. Inhale, hover knees. Exhale, sit back and then lift it up. Slow and strong. Inhale. Exhale, press back and lift it up. Let's walk our hands back towards our feet, keeping your knees here deeply bent and allowing your upper body to fold over the thighs. Take hold of each elbow. Let the crown of the head drop towards the mat. And just hang here in ragdoll. Nod the head yes and no. Always you should have complete freedom in the head and space for the neck to move. Let's walk it all the way forwards into a plank position here. So staying on the balls of the feet at the back, hip distance apart. Again, stacking wrists, elbows and shoulders, lifting up that sternum between the shoulder blades. Lower the knees behind the hips. Draw your chest forwards here. Elbows bend backwards as you start to slowly come down to the floor, chest and hips together. Pull the feet away, roll the shoulders around the ears, slide them down towards your waist and lift the chest. Think about the chest pulling forwards rather than upwards. The neck is long, your gaze is just in front of your mat. With your next exhale, nose to the floor, tuck the toes. One big push to your knees, and then lift the knees back to plank. Pull up the belly, draw back the hips, downward facing dog. Remembering to bend the knees if you need to here, to keep that spine nice and long. So we're going to do that just 2 more times. Inhale, push forward on the balls of your feet, draw your shoulders over your wrists, lower your knees. Exhale, pull the crown of your head forwards and your shoulders back as you come to the mat. Inhale, cobra. Working those upper back muscles without pushing through the hands. On an exhale, nose to the floor, tuck the toes, press up, take it to plank, and back to your downward facing dog. One more time here. Inhale, push the weight forwards. Exhale, knees down, the rest of the body, chest and hips together. Inhale, cobra. All 10 toes on the mat. Exhale, nose to the floor. Press directly up onto your knees, elbows into rib cage. Plank. And then downward facing dog. Connecting back with that breath. And just noticing if the breath has become quite rapid. Let's see if we can slow it down through the nose if you can. In to the belly. Allow the belly to expand on your inhale, soften on your exhale. So just checking in every now and again, keeping a nice, even, steady pace with the breath. Inhaling, Slowly come to the knees and exhaling, push back to your heels. Step your right foot forwards to your right thumb. Back toes can stay tucked, or you may want to come onto the top of the back foot, lifting up here into crescent moon. So hands can always come to heart center if it's too much to bring the arms by the ears. That just always adds a little more weight into each posture. So a feeling here in crescent moon of a slight tuck of the tailbone, a lifting of the pubic bone towards the belly, so that we're opening up across the front of that back hip. Knee stacks over ankle at the front, body weight is in the center. Take one more breath in, and then with the exhale, circle the arms back behind you. Bring your fingertips lightly to the floor underneath your shoulders. Draw your shoulders back, pull your chest forwards. Let's take 3 big circles with that right arm. So here we're going to exhale and inhale. Find that length in the spine. Exhale, rotate the rib cage. And again, inhaling, exhaling. And let's step forwards to the front with your next inhale. Sit up into chair pose here. So you want to sit your weight back. Let's pull the toes back off the mat and ground through the mound of your big toe, little toe, and the center of each heel. They're our tripod grounding points in our postures, so we don't try not to grip the toes at any point. Now soften the toes back down. Take one inhale here. With the exhale, push the hips back, pull the crown of the head forwards, hold onto your shins, halfway fold. Draw your shoulders back, neck is long. Belly is hugging in slightly here. One inhale, find extra length in this halfway fold. And then exhale, soften the knees to bring the upper body over the legs. Step your right leg back behind you, lower the knee, and we'll come up into crescent moon here with that left leg in front. Same thing on the other side. So here you can see on my open side, we want the pelvis to avoid tipping down, but we want it nice and level so the hip points are facing towards the front. Stacking the shoulders and the hips, crown of the head and base of the spine in line. 2 more breaths here. Take a circle with the arms, lightly press fingertips to the floor so that we have that lifting, so we're not just dumping down here to the mat. So keeping that sensation of lifting up, let's exhale, open up towards the left, big circle. Inhale, bring the arm by the ear, reach forwards before you open up and reach back. Last one, inhale, exhale. Let's step back, downward facing dog. Lift up the hips and press back. So finding again that length in the spine. Taking an inhale, come to the knees, and an exhale, push back to your heels. Step your left foot forwards to the thumb. Step your right foot forwards. Feet parallel underneath the hips. Inhale, lift up, chair position. Chest is high. Butt is sat back behind you. Weight is behind your toes. With your next exhale, push the bottom back. Pull the chest forwards. Hold to the shins. Inhale, lengthen out. Exhale, soften the knees and forward fold. So we want to soften the knee so the pelvis can move forwards over the thighs. So that sensation of tipping in the pelvis to forward fold. Let's step the left leg back behind you. So this time we're going to keep the knee high at the back. So again, light with the fingertips on the mat. Hips are square to the front, shoulders are square to the front. Take an inhale, reach the arm by the ear, really reach forwards. Take an exhale, turn the palm out, rotate from the rib cage. So think about lower belly area and hips trying to stay facing the front. Big circle, pull back with the arm on that exhale, and on the inhale, reach out to the front. Exhale, step forwards to the front, feet parallel. Inhale, chair. Exhale, push the bottom back, chest forwards, hold on to the shins, halfway lift. Exhale, bend the knees and fold forwards. Step the right leg back behind you, just making sure you're stepping your foot straight back behind its own hip. And then from here again, lifting the chest. Let's reach forwards, inhale. Exhale, circle around, facing the left. Inhale and exhale. Last one here. Allow the shoulders to slide towards the waist. Step back, downward facing dog. So just adjusting if you need to. Feet hip distance apart. Arms shoulder distance apart. Fingers spread really wide. That small grip with the fingertips. A pressing through the mound of the index finger, the little finger, and the mound of the thumb on each hand, so we get that feeling of balance with the weight. So we're not leaning too much to the outside of the hands. And then from here, let's take our right leg up into the air back behind us for our three-leg dog. And we really want to try and keep the hips and the shoulders square. Play with the foot position, so you may prefer pointed, you may prefer ball of the foot reaching out, or maybe pressing out through the heel. Entirely up to you. From here, bring your heel in towards your bottom without shifting your body weight forwards. So we're staying in that three-leg dog. Slowly bring the knee underneath the body. Tuck the tailbone. We roll through the spine, bringing the shoulders over the wrists. Flex those right toes. Look towards them. Take one inhale. With the exhale, pull up the hips, pull up between the shoulders, and let's land that right foot to the thumb in hope that we're already in a hip distance stance here. So we're just, rather than coming to the center, we lunge to the thumb. So from here, you might want to hop that back leg in towards you just a little. And then we're going to come up into arrow pose. So from here, press up away from the floor, hovering from that front thigh, high on the ball of the back foot. So you may, as I say, want to hop in so that you can get the knee and ankle in line at the front. Now you want to make sure you're hip distance apart here, otherwise we might topple over for the next sequence. So reaching in that arrow pose back through active fingertips and strong arms. Again, you can always release hands, heart center to hips. Take the arms by the ears if you can. And then let's take a big inhale, soften the back knee, keep the front knee over the ankle, and bring your body weight into the center. So we're just trying to get, again, as in Crescent Moon, the pelvis to face the front. It's a variation of Warrior One. We're on the ball of the back foot. Take an inhale, reach up tall. Take an exhale, rotate the rib cage towards your right, open up your arms. Maybe drop the back knee. Entirely up to you. You can stay where you are or drop the back knee. Then we'll face the front, rotate back round, straighten both legs, reach up through the fingertips, pyramid legs. And as you exhale, rotate, front knee bends over ankle, back knee drops. So we're keeping that position with the crown of the head, base of the spine in line. Last one. Inhale slowly, slow and strong. Exhale. Now, woo, wobbly. And then see us yoga teachers wobble too. We're going to turn back to the front, keeping that front knee over the ankle, so we're staying low. Circle the arms back behind, step your feet parallel chair to the front. Lots of work for those thighs and that butt today. With your next exhale, halfway fold, hold onto the shins. Inhale, lengthen out, and exhale, soften the knees as much as you need to comfortably fold forwards over the thighs. Placing the hands on the floor, let's step back plank position. And then pick up the hips, downward facing dog. So it's easy in your downward facing dog, and I have a tendency to do it as well, to collapse and almost squeeze the shoulder blades around the spine so you push your chest through. What you really want to do is be lifting up your sternum and imagine your sternum resting between your shoulder blades so you have a broad upper back. The shoulder blades wrap around the body and you're hugging your armpits in towards you. Find your easy breath. Notice how you're feeling physically. If you need to, take modifications or rest in child's pose. And we're going to go now to the other side. So taking your left leg, three-leg dog, left leg lifts, and again, you can play with the foot position. Underneath knee can bend if you need to get that length in the spine. Bring the heel in towards the bottom. And then when you're ready, we're going to curl underneath. So bringing knee to belly, tuck tailbone. Knee towards the chest. Roll through the spine like a wave. You're looking to your knee. Now with an inhale, pull your toes forwards, preparing them to come to the front. With an exhale, push up the hips, push up between the shoulder blades, and land that foot to the thumb. Again, adjusting your stance, make sure you're hip distance apart, and you can always hop that back leg in a little as we come to arrow pose. So from here, lifting the chest away from that front thigh, reaching back. Keep active and strong in those arms. And a feeling here of a lightness in the belly, so we're trying to lift away from the thigh rather than just collapsing into it. Take the arms by the ears or to heart center. Let's start to come up into warrior one. Variation of. So we're on the ball of the back foot and the knee is bent. Pelvis is facing forwards. So we're twisting now to the left. As you exhale, maybe drop the back knee. So rib cage is rotating, hips are staying facing towards the front. Palms open or hands to the heart center. Finding that balance as we slowly straighten both legs, pyramid legs, rotate back to the front. Exhale. Maybe drop the back knee, maybe just stay in that warrior one variation with a slightly bent knee. Bring it back. And last one. So again, now we're going to stay low. So you don't really want your hip to be any lower than your knee here as you turn back round to the front. Swoop the arms back behind you. One big push to propel yourself forwards to chair. Take an inhale here. Take an exhale, halfway fold. Finding that length here in the spine. Exhale, knees soft, fold forwards. Step back here, plank position. So from your plank position, lowering the knees behind the hips, pulling the chest forwards, bending the elbows back alongside the rib cage, coming down to the mat. Inhale into cobra. And exhale, nose to the mat. Tuck the toes, press up onto your knees, nice and strong. Then take the knees up into plank, and then push yourself back to your downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths here, following your inhale and your exhale. And I am sweating. Hopefully you've built a bit of heat too, a bit of internal heat. 2 more easy breaths here. Let's take it back to 3-leg dog, lifting the right leg. Trying here to balance equally on the 3 points that are on the floor, so that's each hand and the left foot. So we're trying to avoid collapsing in the right hip or the left arm. As much as possible, square hips, square shoulders. Bring the heel in towards the bottom. Take that slow, controlled roll underneath. Lift high onto the ball of the left foot to create a little more space. Roll forwards, hug that knee in towards you. Pull your toes forwards, ready for your exhale. Lift the hips, lift up between the shoulder blades. Lunge that right foot to the thumb. So from here, let's lift up into that arrow pose again. So just hovering from that front thigh, adjusting your stance slightly wider if you need to, or slightly shorter. Let's take the hands into heart center. And then from here, we're going to come into a prayer twist. So let's take our left elbow, if we can, either just resting lightly on the top of that right thigh. That's going to give us less of a twist than if we go into the full pose by taking the elbow to the outside of the right knee. So before we twist, find length in the spine. So reach out through the crown of the head, a lightness again in the belly. And then when you're ready, we can begin to rotate. 1 elbow up, 1 elbow down, palms pressed together. And the closer the hands, the thumbs come into heart center, the deeper the twist is going to be. So we don't want to force that, okay? But a deeper twist would be hands to heart, thumbs to heart center, sternum lifting, pressing the 2 together. Otherwise, we can stay here or here. Rotate the body back round. Let's bring the feet together this time to the front. So right foot meets left, left foot meets right. Bringing your big toes together, sit the weight back. We're coming into chair with the feet together, the heels slightly parted. So this time we're rolling the thighs inwards towards each other. Push the hips back, lift the chest forwards. And then folding over those thighs. Let's step back, plank position. And from plank, take it back to your downward facing dog. And let's go with the other side, lifting the left leg into the air. Heel comes into bottom. And again, let's roll under. Roll through the spine, straight arms. And then lunge that leg through to the front with your exhale. Coming up into that arrow pose. Hold here. Take hands to heart center. 1 inhale, finding that length for lunging prayer twist. So we can take elbow very lightly just to touch the thighs. We're not digging down, we're lifting away from the floor, finding that lightness in the belly. Or for a deeper twist, we hook right elbow over left thigh. So just to the outside of the left thigh. Find length, inhale, then exhale, rotate. Take a couple of breaths here, palms pressing towards each other, 1 up, 1 down with the elbows. Thumbs coming in towards heart center. turning back round. Take your hands down to the floor. And again, we're going to press forwards, bringing the feet together. Lots of work for those thighs. Try and stay low. And sit back to chair. With your next exhale, just fold forwards, bring the hands to the floor, step back, plank position. If you want to here, take a vinyasa so we can come down to the floor, maybe the knees or the whole body in a stick position without sagging in the belly or the chest. Inhale, cobra. Keep all 10 toes on the mat. Reach out through the big toes, lengthen the inner thighs and ankles. Exhale, nose to the mat. Either again, press directly up or press onto your knees. Push up with an exhale and take it back. Downward facing dog. Stay here. Pause. Breathe. Inhale slowly, come down to the knees, and exhale, just sit back to child's pose. So you may like to just open the knees, keep your big toes together, reach the arms out in front, take the forehead to a cushion or to the mat, and again, just trying not to collapse between the shoulder blades. You want to hug those elbows in and those armpits underneath you. You can stay active, lifting wrists to armpits, or you might want to just slide the hands or the arms in a little so the forearms can rest. Or maybe stack fists and rest your head on fists. And just take a moment to begin to slow the breath down. Begin to slow the heart rate down. And gradually beginning to bring the body back to a neutral state. Let's begin to walk our hands in and shuffle onto our bottom. Extend your legs out in front, sitting up nice and tall. So again, we want to stack here, crown of the head, base of the spine, shoulders over hips. You can always sit on a folded cushion as a wedge just to elevate the hips slightly and help just to tip the pelvis forwards a little, especially if you find that you're rocking back here more towards your tailbone. So we really want to keep ourselves lifted and fully extended in the spine. Taking your right leg, bending the right leg in, foot flat to the floor, taking your right hand down by your right hip. Let's inhale, lift up through the left arm, and with an exhale, we can hug around that right shin as we inhale, lift the chest, and then exhale, rotate. So the head can follow to look towards the back of the mat or the back right corner of your mat. Or you may want to keep facing to the right side or maybe even facing towards the front. Feeling the belly expand into the right thigh, keeping the shoulders soft and relaxed here. And then turning the head back round to the center and allow the rest of the body to unwind. Extending the leg away, let's do the same on the left. So bending the left knee nice and tall with the top body, taking that Left hand down behind you just to prop yourself up. Inhale, reach up as long as you can with that right arm. And then exhale, rotate, hold on to the shin. Inhale again, lift the chest. And exhale, rotate. And just placing the head in a comfortable position for you. Slowly rotating the head back to center and then unwind the rest of the body. So from here, let's take our feet in towards each other. So the soles of the feet here are touching. And again, using that cushion that can still stay underneath the hips to help fold you forwards more comfortably. So choices here for diamond pose. You can either keep both of your hands on the floor back behind you and just work on opening up the thighs here. You can fold forwards, as we will do in a moment. So with diamond pose, rather than cobbler's pose where your heels are into your groin, diamond pose, it has a little more space here. So you can actually see that diamond shape between your feet and your hips. So from here, holding on to your ankles or your shins, or again, staying where you are, lifting up. Take an inhale, take an exhale. We're going to start to hinge forwards. Let's draw the navel towards the spine so we have a sense of length here in the lower back, as if you're kind of rolling over a big beach ball here. Wouldn't that be nice? So holding on to, again, ankles, calves. Maybe you can hold on lightly around the toes. And just allow the arms to rest, if they can, on the outsides of the legs rather than the inside. So we're just opening up across the upper back, between the shoulder blades, keeping that gentle pull of the navel towards the spine. So we're thinking about space between the lower back vertebrae here. So that's a visualization for you. Creating space and then keeping that space as we curl forwards. And again, the head should have complete freedom just to nod yes and no slightly here. And the neck has space. Coming up here on an exhale, draw navel to spine and let's curl up, stacking the vertebrae one on top of the other until the crown of the head hovers above the base of the spine, helping the thighs in towards one another and just walking the feet out here so that they're hip distance apart. Taking your hands behind you, so either fingers pointing towards the sides of the room, or maybe fingers pointing towards your feet. So we want to keep the hands, the arms, no wider than shoulder distance apart. We're going to take an inhale here, sit back slightly into the arms, bend the elbows, and then hug the elbows in, push the arms straight, broaden, and lift the collarbones. So there's a hugging here slightly of the shoulder blades towards each other, elbows towards each other. And maybe even pushing the hands apart from one another as if you're trying to rip the mat beneath you. So pushing out with the hands, in with the elbows, slight squeeze of the shoulder blades. Take an inhale here. With the exhale, just staying here and breathing, or maybe rolling up, lifting the hips, look towards the front of your mat, bringing your knees over your ankles. And we're trying here to lift knees, hips, shoulders, in one long line. Shoulders and wrists are stacked at the back, pressing into the feet, squeezing the bottom, keeping the knees in line with the hips, maybe gazing towards the ceiling without letting your head completely just snap back. Okay, so you want to use the neck muscles here to support the head, the weight of the head. Slowly, head comes to the front. Draw navel in towards the spine. Lower the hips down. Push yourself back up here to seated. Take hold of one wrist quite firmly. Roll around one way with the hand. And the other. And let's go with the other side. And the other way. And then we'll come down to the mat. Taking your feet away from your bottom, taking the arms out in front. So you can either choose to take a roll down here to the mat, or maybe just roll to the side and come onto your back that way. Otherwise, we're taking an inhale here, reach the arms out, shoulder distance apart. Take an exhale, draw the navel in towards the spine. So again, that feeling of length in the vertebrae of the lower back, and then rolling all the way down, piece by piece, until eventually the shoulders and the back of the head touch the mat. Take a full body stretch. Inhale, reach yourself as long as you can, out through fingers and toes, give them a wiggle. And then exhale, bring the hands down, flex the feet. Bring your right knee in towards your chest. And just hug that knee in. Take a few breaths here. And this left leg is as long and straight as you can make it. Kneecap and toes on the left point towards the ceiling. Take your right arm fully extended away from the body, or maybe take cactus arm here with the forearm resting down, elbow and shoulder in line. Keeping the chest open, take your left hand to the outside of your right knee. And then we'll draw the knee across the body towards the left. I'm going to stay here because I'm going to crush my mic otherwise. But you draw across the body as much as you can without lifting up that opposite shoulder. So we don't want to lift up the right shoulder from the mat. Spreading the weight of your upper back and the shoulders into the floor. We can rotate the head maybe, look towards the right. Maybe begin to close the eyes as we wind our practice down even more. Coming now to our relaxation. Head turns back to center. Roll the rest of the body back to the middle. Hug that knee in. Take a full body stretch. Inhale. Exhale, bring your left knee in. Same thing here, reaching out with your left arm in line with the shoulder, or take that half cactus arm. Make sure your shoulders are away from your ears, and then take that left knee across the body towards the right. And this time anchoring down that left shoulder. And think about the chest staying open towards the ceiling. So that broadness in the collarbones. Turning the head maybe to look towards the left. And just making sure those shoulders haven't crept around the ears. Head turns back to center. Let's roll the rest of the body back into the middle. Take that last full body stretch. Inhale. Exhale, bend the knees into the chest. Rolling around the sacrum. Just taking small circles one way. And let's go the other. And bringing your feet back down to the floor. For your relaxation, choosing to either take constructive rest, as we did here in the beginning, Or you can take corpse pose, taking the legs long, maybe the feet open as wide as the corners of your mat. Again, opening up the arms, palms upturned, allowing the shoulders to roll back and down, finding a heaviness across the upper back, in the arms, a softness in the palms and the fingers, anchoring down the hips and a heaviness in the legs. And once again, just fully allowing the weight of your body to release into the mat and down to the earth beneath, feeling fully supported. Closing the eyes or gazing towards the nose. And let's just take this time to allow the body to set into its new mold that you've created today. And before we start, taking your awareness down to your feet and then up through the body, all the way to the head, and just stopping at any of those parts that may have been particularly tight in the beginning, so you may have been holding physical stress or tension, and just noticing how those parts of the body are feeling now. Any subtle changes in your physical being from the beginning of your practice to now. Notice how you're feeling mentally. If your practice has created a little more mental space. Now turn your attention to your breath, noticing the space in which you breathe. Hopefully there's a sense of more openness and space in the chest, between the ribs, in the abdomen, maybe between the shoulder blades, the upper back, allowing you to breathe more fully and efficiently. Staying with the breath, and if you can, closing the mouth. If it's too uncomfortable, then keeping the mouth open. And let's begin to follow the breath in from the room and down to the belly. Watching the belly softly expand and open on each in-breath. With the out-breath, the belly releasing and relaxing, and following the breath back out into the room. Each inhale, feeling re-energized, revitalized, refreshed. Each exhale, letting go of any physical tension, of any mental stress, anything you've been holding on to that really doesn't matter. Focusing here on each inhale and each exhale. Staying present, awake, and aware. And carrying this sense of peace, of calm and relaxation with you throughout the rest of your day or your evening. And let's just begin now to wiggle the fingers and the toes, beginning to wake the body up. Maybe roll the ankles and the wrists. Making whatever movements you feel necessary to gradually wake the body up. If you'd like to, drawing the legs long or the legs together, swooping the arms up and overhead, reaching away through fingers and toes. Take an inhale. Take a big sigh through the mouth. Bring the hands down, back to the floor. Relax the hands and the feet and draw the knees in towards you. Gently rock from side to side. Rolling over towards your right or whichever side you have the most space. Creating a pillow for the head. And just staying here just for a few breaths. And then when you're ready, very slowly, pressing with the top hand, drawing yourself up to seated to face the front. Sitting up nice and tall here. Let's take one last deep, energizing breath in, gazing up at the thumbs, and a big sigh through the mouth. Bringing the hands down to heart center. And thank you very much for joining me today. Hoping you're feeling refreshed and energized and awake. And I hope you can join me again soon.